Hey everyone, this is Victoria English, top coach with Project 90. I'm happy to be here with you today. We have a really great episode coming up. We are going to talk about high functioning problem drinking. What is it? What are the characteristics? How does it lead to increased denial? You want to go on a ride down the river of denial? I sure have. And why being a high functioning problem drinker can make it even harder to stop than someone who is obviously a problem drinker. So let's get started. But before we do, I want to remind you that you can get your hands on the Alcohol Freedom Formula at alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide, or you can text the word guide to the number 44222. That's for the US only. If you are a high performer who is ready, and I mean really ready, tired of the startovers to gain long-term power over alcohol, then you can speak to me directly about possibly joining Project 90. Just schedule a free call at alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule or text the word Project 90 to 44222. Again, US only. When you book that call, you'll get a call from me, Victoria. Again, this is only for high performers who are ready to make a change, who are tired of the do-overs. So let's go. Let's talk about this. So, what is a high functioning drinker anyway? Well, it's someone who drinks problematically while appearing to maintain professional and personal success. According to surveys, about 20% of problem drinkers in the US are high functioning. So that's 2 out of 10 people who know that drinking is probably an issue. 2 out of 10, you may never be able to guess it. It's also a person who drinks and they know they have a problem, but they still believe on some level that alcohol helps them, makes life easier, helps them be social, helps them be more successful. And here's a big one, helps them cope with stress. Boy, can I relate to that. Did you know that before I was an alcohol coach, before I was top coach here with Project 90, I was a Pilates teacher and a nutritionist. I studied dietetics and exercise physiology. That's my background. And I spent most of my adult life working with people in nutrition and fitness. I've taught Pilates. I did menu planning, nutritional consulting. I'm also a mother of 4. And aside from some really, really close friends and close family, people did not know. When I came out with my story, I've been featured in a best-selling book. I've written magazine articles. I've been on numerous podcasts. I got so many messages from people who have known me and said, "What? You had a problem with alcohol?" They couldn't believe it. You know what was even more shocking? For a long time, I couldn't believe it. And why is that? Why couldn't I believe it? Why do you have trouble believing it? Again, it's for you to decide. But if you're tuning into this podcast called Alcohol Free Lifestyle, you probably got some concerns about your drinking. Otherwise, you'd be doing something else. So this is big enough that you are tuning in and taking time out of your precious day to listen and learn. And I thank you for that, because there's a lot of people who would rather keep floating down that river of denial than take a glimpse underneath and see what's going on. You know, there are stereotypes to what a problem drinker looks like. And that was a big barrier for me and maybe for you to take a look at this. As a mother, as a female, boy, did I have some stereotypes in my head of what a woman, a mother, a well-educated, intelligent person would look like if they had a drinking problem. I thought, oh gosh, well, those are people who can't hold a job and their children are late to school, their clothes are dirty and their mouth, they look messy. The woman, the mother probably looks very unhealthy, probably doesn't have her act together at all. Like, isn't it just glaringly obvious that this mother has a problem? Well, no, it's not. How about you? Would anyone know? Would they guess? The stereotype is that, right, the people with an alcohol issue don't have their lives together. In some ways, it can be easier for those people who are really at a rock bottom to face the fact that they need to change their drinking patterns. And then there's the other ones, the ones like us, the high functioning problem drinkers. Why are they in denial? Why is it so hard? Well, their characteristics are they look fine. Their life usually looks fine. They have good careers. They, on the outside at least, their family looks okay. They seem healthy. Here are some questions to ask yourself to find out if perhaps you are a high functioning problem drinker. Most high functioning problem drinkers are middle aged, well educated. They have stable jobs and families. Do you pregame before you go out to an event, maybe a gala, maybe the country club, maybe a work function? Do you pregame? Do you have a couple of drinks to loosen up? When you're at that event, do you make a conscious effort to drink appropriately so that you are on your best behavior? After the event, and sometimes do you leave the event early to go home and continue drinking? Do you ever drink alone? Do you ever sneak alcohol? Do you ever have that two drink limit at the event, but on the way to the bathroom, sneak by the bar? Or, maybe drink when you think no one is looking. Do you reward yourself with alcohol? Is alcohol a reward? Do you drink to cope with stress? Do you drink every day? I didn't. But if you don't drink every day, do you use that as a reason to rationalize binge drinking after a little break, maybe a few days? Does this sound familiar? Okay, it's Monday, time to get my act together. I'm not going to drink today. Oh, I'm not going to drink today. Boy, I wish I could drink today, but I said I wouldn't. Okay, not going to drink today. Yes, didn't drink today. Tuesday, still not going to drink today. I am not drinking until Friday. Wednesday, well, things are going really well. I'll have a couple of drinks. Thursday, look how well I handled those 2 drinks last night. Friday, it is Friday. I am going to reward myself and drink as much as I want because look how well I did all week. Does that sound familiar? Do you get cravings for alcohol? Do you feel guilty the next day? How about this one? Do you compare your experience to others? And by comparing your experience to others, I mean comparing your experience to people who drink more than you. Do you use things like sayings like, at least I don't drink like them. At least I don't drink every day. At least I don't miss work. At least I only drink wine. I'm going to clue you in. Quote, normal drinkers don't say any of those things to themselves. And it's highly unlikely that they do any of those things, any of those behaviors I listed. The pre-gaming, the sneaking, the denial, the coping with stress. It's really unlikely. As a high-functioning problem drinker, and again, anyone listening, I am speaking not just as an alcohol coach, not just someone who has studied this, who thinks a lot about alcohol now, but in a whole different way than I used to. I am speaking to you from a place of compassion and absolute understanding because I was there. When we are high functioning problem drinkers, we become experts at talking ourselves out of quitting. It's almost like we get amnesia and forget how gross we feel after drinking. That's just one of the reasons. I mean, again, if you join Project 90, you're going to learn so much about this and have a real clear understanding. But that's one of the many, many reasons that when you don't drink on Monday and you don't drink on Tuesday, that on Wednesday, suddenly you talk yourself into it. It's almost like you forgot what you felt like on Sunday morning, right? It's crazy. Have you ever had food poisoning? You eat something and you get sick from it. And how long is it until you can go back to tasting that food again, if ever? When I was a little girl, I was the youngest of many, many cousins, and I was allowed to go to a birthday party with my older cousins. I was about 3, and I was staying at my grandma English's house. And my cousins were teenagers. So guess what they did? They let me eat as much coconut cake as I wanted. You guys, I'm turning 51 next week, and just talking about coconut cake makes my stomach turn over because I was 3. And guess what? I did eat all the coconut cake I could. And you can imagine how that turned out and how my beloved grandmother, what she had to deal with in the middle of the night. So here it is, all these years later, and I avoid coconut cake. So has that ever happened to you where you say, oof, man, that made me sick and I don't want it anymore? What is this madness with alcohol? How we can not only feel physically terrible, not to mention looking in the mirror. I did an episode, or you may or may not have heard it yet, but about alcohol and aging. So, I mean, if you're listening to this, you know that look in the mirror, right? I do not miss that look. So how is that craziness that we can get to midweek and talk ourselves into doing this again? Well, there's a lot of reasons. But a big part of it is, again, back to the denial. We're back on that raft, floating down that river of denial. And why? Well, because when it comes to alcohol, denial can be a really big defense mechanism, especially for people like you and me, because we are educated, we are successful, we are intelligent. That's why the rest of our life usually looks pretty great. We've got our act together. And yet with alcohol, if we come out of denial and acknowledge what it is doing, it's in our nature that we're going to have to do something about it because that's what we do, right? We identify and solve problems. We're creative. We create solutions, operating systems. So, of course, wouldn't we do the same if we realized we had a drinking problem? Except it's not that easy, is it? We don't want to look at the damage that we are doing to our family, our marriage, or our partner, our children. Yeah, everything looks okay, but is it the best it could be? Could it be better? Is it maybe taking time away from your loved ones? Are you really, as present as you'd like to be with the people you care about? What about your career? Maybe your career is doing great. But are there some places where it could be better? Are you kind of trudging through some meetings because you're not feeling so great? Or are you distracted in an afternoon meeting because you're thinking about finishing up and getting home to have that drink or getting to the happy hour? Oh gosh, and when I go to happy hour, am I only going to have 2? Wait, well, let me think. I haven't had a drink since Saturday night. So you see where I'm going with this, right? The chatter in the head. So again, it goes back to what are you missing out on? And if you're listening to this, you know you're missing out on it. So if we admit that drinking is a problem, then oh my gosh, we've got to do something about it. But what? What do we do? It can seem so big that it's just sometimes easier to go, okay, it's not that bad because at least I don't. Look at that guy over there. Did you hear about so-and-so? What happened with them? Oof, man, they're a mess. It's not your fault. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you are weak-willed. It doesn't mean you don't have your act together. And guess what? If you push in the other areas of your life, to get your act together even more, it's not going to change what's going on with alcohol. It just isn't. I would push myself in other areas to be more, to be extra. My kids used to call me, "Oh, Mom, you're so extra," because I would try to overcompensate in other areas of my life because I knew that alcohol was depriving me, my children, the world of, not that I'm going to change the world, but you know what I mean, the world that I'd created, that I walked through. I wasn't showing up as the best version of myself. So I would do other things to try to make up for it, except it didn't. That was tough. In Project 90, you're going to learn why that is, why it is that you can have it all together, but that one thing keeps tripping you up. Again, it's not personal. It's just alcohol. It's just doing what alcohol does. Don't take it personally. And unlike a lot of things that you've probably accomplished in your life, this is not a change that is meant to be taken on alone. It just isn't. That's where we come in. That's where the coaches at Project 90 and the other community members in Project 90 come in. You will find so many similarities. We work with people from all over the world. Did you know that? I think we are covering at least 3 continents right now. We have members from all over the place. And they come together on meetings, coaching calls, and it's like they've known each other because they know each other. You know, James Swanwick is brilliant at creating this community, at pulling people together who are so like-minded and have this one stumbling block that they just keep stumbling over. You're not supposed to do it by yourself. So don't. It has nothing to do with your intelligence, with your willpower, with your determination. It's not that. And I'll tell you another thing. If you are a high-functioning drinker and you could have stopped, you would have stopped. You would know what it's like on the other side of alcohol. It's a lot better, a whole lot better. Not one person comes through Project 90 and says, you know, life was better when I was drinking. Absolutely. Just the facts. So why not give it a try? I bet you've tried other things. I bet you have. I know I did. Boy, did I try. Doesn't have to be that way. Believe it or not, it can actually be empowering and enjoyable. There are some tough things. There's a few tough things you gotta look at. And that's why we're here, because we get it. We are trained coaches. We understand, not only because we are trained professionally, but because we've been there personally. So you don't have to go into situations on your own. You've got us. And every single member in there is going to get it too, because they're walking through it. So if that sounds familiar, overly familiar maybe, then come along and check us out. Like I said, send us a message. You can go to Project 90 if you want to be considered for this program. It's not for everyone. We don't accept every applicant. And we're proud of that because, again, James and I are cultivating a community of like-minded individuals. You're going to be with people that understand you, coaches that understand you. So if you are ready to take a break from alcohol for 90 days, maybe more, go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule, and it'll take you right where you got to go. I am so glad that you took the time out of your busy day to join me and to consider what I have to say. I've lived it. I've been there. I can tell you it is a lot better on this side, and I hope to see you there soon. So go ahead, apply, book that call. Let's see if you're a fit. I'll give you a chat. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Again, this is Victoria English, Top Coach with Project 90. Have an awesome day.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I want to load you up with some free stuff. If you look in the show description, there's a link there to get my guide, which is the Alcohol Freedom Formula Guide. And in that guide, I will walk you through the process and system for successfully reducing or quitting alcohol. It's the same system and process that I give to my clients inside of Project 90. And if you would like to get your hands on that guide, you can click the link in the description part of this episode, or you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. Likewise, if you would like to be considered for Project 90 to join our community and get some accountability, some coaching, and have fun, achieve some goals over at least 90 days with our help and support, then you're invited to schedule a complimentary coaching call with one of my coaches. You can do that by clicking the link in the show description or going to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. Now, Project 90 is for over 30s only. And it's really for people who are ready to get long-term power over alcohol. You don't have to quit forever, but you will have to quit for at least 90 days with our support. Just a reminder, 95% of my content is free and plastered all over the internet. If you just Google James Swanwick and the word alcohol, you'll find that. For those of you who want additional support, if you want coaching, fun, accountability, if you realize that you can't do this on your own or you just plain don't want to, then I invite you to schedule that call and we can talk about if Project 90 is for you. If you would like to take some of my supplements, swanvitality.com is the website. I'll put a link in the show notes as well. I have a liver support product called Loving Liver, which I designed and specially formulated to help remove toxins from your liver after years of alcohol consumption. Again, there's a link in the show description. We've also got a green powder there, which turns into a green juice filled with amazing ingredients to support you and give you energy throughout the day. And there's also a magnesium product which I take every night to help me prepare for sleep and to sleep through the night. So there's a few options there. Lastly, if this episode or the show in general has helped you or supported you in any way, I would so appreciate it if you would write a review. It really does help the show climb the rankings and expose the show to people who don't yet know about us. So if this show has benefited you in any way and you feel compelled to pay it forward, just writing a short little review, hopefully a nice one, will be so appreciated and I will thank you immensely. Lastly, if you'd like to talk to me about anything at all, feel free to send me an email at james@alcoholfreelifestyle.com. I do read and respond to every email. And you can also follow me on Instagram at James Swanwick. Send me a message there. And I look forward to connecting with you soon. Catch you on the next one.